Greetings Batch 15 and welcome to the first session of your respiratory system course. This is Dr. Sally and I'll be covering the first two topics for you guys today. What I've done with this session is I've divided it into segments or sections, and each one will be hopefully a 10 to 15 minute long video so that you guys can just study and go through each one separately. So let's go ahead and get started with the thoracic wall. So just a quick introduction before we get into the details of the thoracic wall. The respiratory system is the organ system in the body that is responsible for providing oxygen to the body, and we all know that oxygen is important for respiration, reactions that provide energy and so forth. And it's also important for excreting carbon dioxide, and we know that carbon dioxide is produced as a waste product from metabolism. And accordingly, it has specific organs that are adapted to this function. And the organs of the respiratory system are found in several parts of the body. Some of them are found in the head, some of them are found in the neck, and some of them are found in the thorax. So this is what the respiratory system looks like. Like I told you, some of the organs are distributed in the head and neck, and some of them are distributed in the thoracic cavity, which is going to be our thoracic region, which is going to be part of our topic for today. So you've got what we call the passages, and these are responsible for conducting air either in or out. These include things like the nasal cavity, the oral cavity, the pharynx and larynx, and then they lead down into the trachea, which eventually leads down into the lungs. Now, the respiratory system is divided in two different ways. We can either look at it from a functional aspect, or we can look at it from an anatomical or a physical aspect. Now, functionally, it's divided into an upper respiratory tract and a lower respiratory tract, and each of these is going to have its own specific function. The upper respiratory tract is any organ or consists of any organ that is responsible for the air conduction. So that's carrying air between the body and the environment. So any air going from the environment into the body or from the body out into the environment. So that basically consists of the passages that we spoke about a few moments ago. The lower respiratory tract, this is the part where gaseous exchange happens. Basically, gases pass between the respiratory system and the blood system. So either oxygen being transferred into the blood to be distributed to the body, or carbon dioxide being removed from the blood in order to pass through the respiratory tract and be removed from the entire body. In terms of anatomical division, it again is divided into an upper and lower respiratory tract, but the points of demarcation are different. Anatomically, the upper respiratory tract ends at the bifurcation of the trachea. So it goes from the beginning of the respiratory tract, which is the nasal and oral cavities, and it continues down until we reach the point where the trachea splits from one tube into two. The lower respiratory tract is therefore anything that is below the bifurcation of the trachea. So you can kind of get the sense that functionally something can be part of the upper respiratory tract, but then anatomically it ends up being something different. So, like I said, today's topic is going to focus on the thoracic wall, and this consists of the boundaries that contain the organs of breathing as well as other organs that I'm sure you guys studied in the cardiovascular system. So, the wall is the outer boundary, and then anything on the inside contained within that boundary is considered the thoracic cavity. The thoracic wall itself is made of bones, cartilages, which are similar to bone, they just have a softer consistency and obviously a different type of tissue that makes them. And it also consists of muscle. So these three types of tissues, bone, cartilage, and muscle, are arranged in a specific way to give me the entire structure of the thoracic wall. The functions of the thoracic wall can be summarized in the following points. Mainly, protection of the organs that are contained within the thoracic cavity, mainly the lungs. It's important for attachments of the muscles of the thoracic wall, and this is important because muscles allow movement of the thoracic wall components, and that will allow breathing to happen. And this is what the thoracic cage looks like, or the thoracic wall looks like. We've seen this diagram before. Again, remember you have the sternum anteriorly, and then these yellow parts are the costal cartilages that attach to the sides of the sternum. And then from the costal cartilages moving backwards and to the sides as well, you've got the ribs, and at the back here you've got the thoracic vertebra. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take each of the bones separately, and we're going to start off with I think we're starting off with the sternum. So the bones of the thoracic wall are arranged together to form a cage structure that contains the lungs as well as all the other organs of the thorax. So the sternum is the midline bone that is found anteriorly. You can see it highlighted here in red. And it is divided into three parts that are joined together to form one single bone. At the top here, superiorly, you have this irregular, let's just call it an irregular square part that is called the manubrium. And then in the middle here, you've got the largest part of the sternum, which is called the body. And then at the very end, you have a triangular process called the xiphoid process. So these three parts together give me the sternum. And the most important thing for you guys to notice is that at the sides of the sternum, there are depressions, or what we call facets. And these are important because they articulate with the costal cartilages. So the sternum is a flat bone. It's located in the middle of the chest anteriorly, so that's one of the things that you guys need to pay attention to, is to be able to state specifically where the bone is found. Like I said, it is divided into the manubrium, the sternal body, and the xiphoid process. Now, the junction, which is found between the manubrium and the body, so that first junction at the top, is called the manubrio-sternal joint. Okay. Another name for this joint is the sternal angle. And if you guys remember when we talked about the mediastinum, we said that there was a thoracic plane that crossed this point, and it was found at the level of the intervertebral disc between T4 and T5. So just keep that in mind. The manubriosternal joint is found at that vertebral level. The sides of the sternum, like I showed you in the picture, have depressions, which are called facets, and these allow the attachment of the cartilages that connect the sternum to the ribs. So just a little tip here. Always remember that the sternum articulates with the costal cartilages. Sometimes students in their rush kind of just go directly and say that the sternum articulates with the ribs, and it's easy to get confused. But just remember that it goes sternum, costal cartilage, and then the ribs. Okay, we're going to stop here for this first segment, and then we're going to continue in the next video.